You were tuned in to episode 67 of the Goodfellas podcast. I'm your host, G5 Jeff TV, aka G5, aka 5, aka the Guru in the building. As you can see, I am solo today. Y'all get only me today. No VP Shane. Had to give him the day off. He's running on fumes. Boxing first vlog. He needed rest as well. So G5 Jeff TV giving out days off out here. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully both of them rest up. You know what I mean? We got a big weekend coming up. And listen, big shout out to everybody that's been supporting G5 Jeff TV in the past, currently, all that. You know what I'm saying? We got a big weekend of fights coming up. We got Jose Pedraza versus Jose Ramirez. That's going down tomorrow. The weigh-in just happened. So I'm really, really looking forward to that fight. To be honest with you, we haven't done enough coverage on that card, period. That's a really, really, really good fight at 140 pounds. And, it's crazy how the outlook of a division can change within a couple of seconds. You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. Not that long ago, people were saying, "Oh well, Josh Taylor done cleaned out the division. He done cleaned it out. There's nothing else to do. He's gonna move up. He's gonna drop all the belts." He fights Catterall and looks like complete trash and gets a robbery of a victory. And now 140's wide open. To be honest with you, Josh Taylor can't afford to move up. And a lot of people are saying, "Hey, he is actually weight drained and things like that, and he need to move up." But nah, like he got to stay at 140. He got to stay at 140 because the things that they're proposing for Josh Taylor at 147, like he's gonna get beat. He's gonna get beat. They were talking about Josh Taylor, Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford would annihilate Josh Taylor. You know what I mean? Wouldn't even be close. Wouldn't even be close at the end of the day. They've talked about Josh Taylor versus Kell Brook. The way Kell Brook looked against Amir Khan, and listen, trust me, it's Amir Khan. I know. And I'm kind of embarrassed because I predicted he was going to win that fight. But if Josh Taylor was to fight that version of Kell Brook against Amir Khan, he's in for a lot of trouble. You know what I'm saying? So 140 is a deep division, really deep division right now. And people need to pay attention. You got Jose Ramirez. You have Sniper Pedraza at 140. You know what I'm saying? Guys like Montana Love, Jose Cepeda. You got a lot of guys at 140 that can, that can hold it down. You know what I'm saying? So 140 is one of them rising divisions. That's got a lot of talent in it. Gary Antoine Russell. You got Victor Postal. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of guys at 140 that can really now give Josh Taylor a run. So now 140 is competitive. Like Josh Taylor's not the clear cut guy anymore. Like he's not head and shoulders above everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm definitely looking forward to this fight for sure. And like I said, when we do like these podcasts and things like that, we really go on the main topics. You know what I'm saying? Like we go on the main topics and we kind of not neglect them, but we just don't have enough time like during a particular Goodfellas podcast to actually touch on fight cards like this. Like yesterday, we went and we talked about all the major stuff. We talked about, Fury and Dillian White. We talked about Usyk and AJ. We talked about Canelo. We talked about Charlo, Benavidez. all the big topics. You know what I'm saying? We talk about all the big topics, but these are the ones that I really like to talk about. Cars like this and fights like this. Big shout out to John Hugh. John Hugh in the building. Big shout out to you, bro. He said Josh Taylor does not have the physical attributes to fight at 147. He needs to lick his wounds, swallow his pride, and look to identify why his performance was so shoddy. I agree 100%. And a lot of people are saying that he was weight drained. The thing is, I don't know anything about Josh Taylor's camp going into the Catterall fight. But I've never looked at Josh Taylor and was like, yo, he's weight drained. You know what I'm saying? I never looked at Josh Taylor and was just like, yo, like, he looked like he about to die on the scales. And I know it's different versions of being weight trained. I know you don't have to look all crazy on the scale for you to be weight trained. You know what I'm saying? But I never got the sense that he was like this humongous 140 and he would be a regular size 147. You know what I'm saying? Like I never got that sense, that feeling or anything like that. I think it was a combination of things. I just think Catterall had a really, really good game plan. Like he fought the fight of his life. Like you'll never see Catterall that good. You'll never see Josh Taylor that bad. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like Josh Taylor will probably wipe him out in a rematch. You know what I'm saying? But some fighters have that once in a lifetime performance, and that's what Catterall had. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I gave Josh Taylor 4 rounds. I had Catterall in an 8-4. Like it was a clear, easy fight to score for me. Like it wasn't many swing rounds or anything. You know what I'm saying? So John Hugh, I agree with you 100%, man. Like he wanted to go back to the drawing board. And the thing is, he can't fight no cupcake because he's a unified champion. Like he has to fight a top level dude. So the competition only goes up from here. If he stays at 140, he needs to embrace that he had a bad performance and he got away with one. And he need to come back, he need to come back strong. You know what I'm saying? But he need to have that conversation with himself in the mirror at the end of the day. Edwin Castillo in the building. What is going on, good brother? I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about Canelo at some point today. But Edwin Castillo, family in the building. Big shout out to you. John Hugh, Josh Taylor has to be careful in his decision making because he is leaking oil right now, and pride comes before a fall territory. So here's the thing with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, it really depends on if he can make 140 comfortable. And that's a question only him and his team can really answer. If he can make 140 comfortable, there's no reason for him to move up to 47. The reason why there's no reason for him to move up to 47 is strictly because when it comes down to it, unless you with Al Heyman and PBC, you can't really do nothing at 147. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't really do anything at 147. If you're a welterweight that's not with the PBC camp, it's really hard for you to string together a series of good fights. It's difficult. Like it's not easy at all. Josh Taylor would have minimal options at 147. Like he could fight. I mean, he could fight a Conor Benn. He could fight a Conor Benn. He could fight a Kell Brook if he wanted to. If he wanted to a sacrificial lamb, he could do a Amir Khan if he was interested in, in fighting again. But when it comes down to it, like he just don't have a lot of quality options at 147 outside of PBC. So it's best that he stays at 140. Edwin Castillo can't stay, fam, but for like 10 minutes plus hitting the likes and catch what I miss after. Hey man, I appreciate you, man. We're not gonna be on here too long today. You know what I'm saying? Cooking up, man. But we was on for a good while yesterday. But big shout out to Edwin Castillo. I was actually looking at the odds for this fight for Ramirez and Pedraza, and Ramirez is a heavy favorite. Like he's a heavy favorite. And I'm not saying I'm surprised, but like Pedraza is like a plus 400. Like Pedraza is a plus 400. Pedraza is a live dog in this fight. He a live dog in this fight, like for sure. He been on a nice little streak, and you can see him actually improving as a fighter. So it's not like he's fighting bums or anything like that, and it's looking good. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So you can see him improving fight after fight, and it's been like that since the Tank loss. He's been gradually improving, every single fight. Um Edwin Castillo, Josh Taylor is really good, but the guy gets hit too much. And against 147-pound hitters, I think he won't make the top. And 140, there's slim pickings, and he's more susceptible to lose sooner rather than later. So Edwin, here's the thing with 140. 140 is a rising division. It's a rising division. They don't have any superstars in it, but it's a rising division. Like Josh Taylor could literally go to Tank and say, "Yo, listen, let's get this. I'm gonna give you a shot at all these belts at 140." And that would be the smartest business move he could possibly make in his career. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than any fight he can get at 147 that doesn't have politics involved. Like Floyd would let Tank fight a unification fight against Josh Taylor after the way Josh Taylor looked against Catterall. He actually needs to look into that. But 140 got some guys, man. I mean, he already beat Jose Ramirez. You got Pedraza, you got Montana Love, you got Zapata, you got a bunch of other guys at 140 that's more than capable of giving him some good competition, especially if he's gonna come in looking like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think 140, he got options. He got options at 140 for sure. John Hugh, can you see Bivol causing trouble for Canelo? I can see his style making Canelo look bad. He looks the biggest threat Canelo has taken in a long time. Uh, John Hugh, this is a hot topic on this channel. In terms of Bivol and how good he is and how much credit should Canelo get if he gets the victory. Should he be fighting Bivol except for Charlo and Benavidez and that PBC deal that he was offering? Here's my thing. I think Bivol is a better fighter than Charlo. I think Bivol is a better fighter than Benavidez. Bivol is undefeated. I don't even know if there's a fight where he's lost multiple rounds in a row. Statistics wise, he's top 5 in the sport in terms of efficiency and a lot of different topics. Does he have a style that can really captivate an audience? No. But just because you don't have a style that can captivate an audience does not mean you can't be great. And I compare Dimitri Bivol to Basketball Hall of Famer and great Tim Duncan. They call Tim Duncan Big Fundamentals, and they called him that because he did nothing flashy. Everything was basic, textbook by the book, but he did it so well. He was great at it. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what Canelo does in this fight to beat Bivol, because Bivol got a great jab. He's one of the best at judging distance, and he's a legit 175-pounder, and he's the second best 175-pounder in the world. So I got a lot of respect for Canelo for actually stepping up to the plate, because he could have made Bivol come down to 168, and he decided not to do that. He went up to 175, which I do think is outside of Canelo's weight class. I think his max is 68. I feel like his max is 68. So the fact that he's going up to 75 to fight somebody like Bivol, I got a lot of respect for that. Bivol can cause Canelo hella trouble. He can cause him hella trouble because he's good at everything. He's solid at everything. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to see. There's no blueprint on Bivol. There's no blueprint on how to beat Bivol or even to have success for long periods of time against Bivol. It's no blueprint. So Canelo's going to have to not only go up in weight and fight the second best guy in the division, but he's going to create his own blueprint on how to beat Bivol. So I'm looking forward to it. Edwin, and yes, bro, Canelo finally bossed everyone, from Mike Tyson to Benavidez and all the cats that are waiting for that payday. He said, I don't care. They need to fight. So here's the thing. This was a discussion yesterday in regards to whether Canelo was in his right to tell Benavidez, Andrade, and Charlo they need to fight each other, and he'll fight the winner. For me, If Canelo is serious about that, the only reason I'm saying this is because he had opportunities to fight Charlo and he had opportunities to fight Andre, and it would have been of great benefit to him because there would have been multiple belts on the line, a legacy and things like that. If he is not, if he's putting that offer out there on the table, he should put that down on paper because him just saying it is not good enough. You know what I'm saying? It's not good enough. But should those guys want to fight the best competition? Absolutely. But not because Canelo said it. They should just want to fight the best competition because that should be the biggest payday. And those are legacy fights at the end of the day. So we're gonna see, what happens, as far as that. John Hughes said Edwin Castillo agree. Taylor is on borrowed time. He needs to look for the best big money deal. I listen. He need to call Tank. He need to call Tank. He need to call Floyd and be like, "Yo, let's get this Tank, Josh Taylor, pay-per-view, unification, all the marbles at 140. Let him go over the PBC. Make it a PBC pay-per-view, and get the biggest. That's the biggest money fight he can make. Period. His people gonna travel. They gonna come over. And all he could hope for is that it looks like a Floyd and Ricky Hatton type atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? But Josh Taylor know his guys is gonna travel. They're gonna travel. You know what I'm saying? So I think he needs to find the biggest money fight possible. And it doesn't have to necessarily be at 47. It could be at 40. He's actually giving up leverage if he tries to get a big fight at 47 when he can make a big fight at 40. You know what I'm saying? He can holler at Tank, come get a unification fight. He can holler at Tiafimo, come up to 140, get this unification fight. He can use his status right now to really get a big money fight. And it's not even a cash out because I don't believe like one bad performance should make you go into cash out mode. But he needs to maximize the position that he's in. So he did. I think he needs to call Tiafimo. He needs to call Tank. Even if Ryan Garcia would be willing to go up to 140 and pay him a visit, he need to holler at some of them 135 guys and see if they want to move up and make a big fight, for a unified belt. That's what he should be doing next. Edwin Castillo, yeah, bro, that's what I mean of him, susceptible to lose against a guy on the rise. No way Saltweather will still wait till Taylor loses first, then he think about it. Well, the thing is, he lost Saturday. He just got a gift decision. Like that's a classic situation where Floyd will jump all on that. He will jump all over that. He'll look for chinks in the armor, and then he'll, you know what I'm saying. Then he'll reach out and try to do a situation. John Hugh, yes, he is. Unfortunate. Blue Corner Boxing, big shout out to you, bro. He said Canelo's solid too. Listen, the run that Canelo's on right now, a lot of people don't like his choice of opponents and when he's fighting them and things like that. But to be honest with you, there's really only like 5 guys that people want to see Canelo in the ring with in the sport. And that's Andre, Charlo, Benavidez, and Peterbiev. Those really like the only 4. Like those are only 4 guys that Canelo hasn't fought that people want to see him fight. It's really nobody else. You know what I'm saying? So he's fought a lot of people, regardless of what people want to give him credit for or don't want to give him credit for. Jay Banks in the building. Big shout out to you. I gotta call you too. I gotta connect. I got a Sixes connect too. Sweet type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I hit you up on that. Edwin, bro, Tank is almost 30 and has never faced an elite fighter. By the time he does, he might get murked because, like Canelo, fighting the best is iron sharpens iron. So this is why I think Josh Taylor should actually give Floyd and Tank a call. I think they should give Floyd and Tank a call. Like it's a big payday, and despite him looking the way he looked against Catterall, it's a winnable fight for Josh Taylor. It's a winnable fight. I think Tank is 27, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's 26, 27 years old. and he's in the prime of his career. He's in the prime of his career, and I think 140 is the cap for Tank. You know, in terms of going up in weight. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for Tank. I think it'll be a great opportunity for Floyd, and it'll be a great opportunity for Josh Taylor to use the status that he has to get the biggest payday he could possibly get. Blue Corner Boxing, why don't they fight each other? Their resumes are trash. Are you talking about I'm assuming you talking about Andrade and Benavidez, or you talking Andrade and Charlo? Listen, I'm all for them fighting each other. I'm all for them fighting each other. People are just bent out of shape because Canelo suggested it. But they don't have a lot of options. Like, so I don't have a problem with them fighting each other. They should fight each other because that's the best competition and the biggest payday. It's not because Canelo's at the end of the tunnel. Because he's made it clear he don't want to fight Andre. He don't want to fight Benavidez. He don't want to fight Charlo. He made it clear. Like he made it clear. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is at the end of the day. John Hugh, AJ is another British fighter who has lost his mojo and has the stinky look about him of being around a soiled nappy. What is your prediction for him? You know the thing that's crazy, and I've said this on the channel. VP Shane can verify this. I said a long time ago, I said Usyk is a bad matchup for AJ. Usyk is a bad matchup for AJ. AJ, when AJ had 3 of the 4 belts, I said on this camera, on this podcast, AJ needs to drop that belt. Let Usyk fight Joe Joyce for that belt, and let him fight Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder winner. I said that a long time ago, and he didn't take the advice. He just went on and fought Usyk, got outschooled. If he fights Usyk again, he's gonna get outschooled again. It's just a bad style matchup. If he fights Tyson Fury, I'll give him a chance. If he fight Deontay Wilder, I'll give him a chance. But at the point of his career, we like to say on this show, silk sheets. You know, he's been sleeping in silk sheets for a very long time. It just seemed like his hunger is not there, like his hunger to not lose. It seemed like when he loses, he kind of just, you know, he's not pissed off about it. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to question whether those silk sheets is starting to get to him. You know what I'm saying? He go to bed at night sleeping on them silk sheets. You know what I mean? Blue Corner Boxing, Mayweather ain't going to let Tank fight Taylor. He probably won't, but he needs to. Because Tank need a career-defining fight, number one. Number two, he's coming off of a pay-per-view when he did under 50. I don't care if it was on a Sunday. I don't care if he was competing with the NFL. He did a pay-per-view that was under 50. If that was Bud or anybody else on the other side of the street, people would have been screaming like crazy, saying he's not a pay-per-view star, all this and all that. That's the problem I be having with people. They don't give out the same smoke for each fighter or each promotional company. Like, I don't understand how you have a favorite promotional company. Like, they're not paying you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not paying you at the end of the day. Like, whoever has the best cards on that particular day, that's who you should be supporting. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. Y'all free to do what y'all want. Edwin Castillo, Charlo turned down an offer already. Benaduca has lost his chance, being a bum, not disciplined. IBF ruined it when Canelo requested to unify with Andre and Derevianchenko, stalling to get Canelo stripped. So I say this, Edwin, I say this all the time. If Canelo wants to fight, whatever fight Canelo wants, he can get it. I firmly believe that. Did Charlo turn down an offer? I believe he did turn down an offer. That's the rumor, that he turned down an offer. And we know he recently turned down an offer because he just got offered Charlo and Benavidez for $100 million, and he turned that down. I think it don't matter what the circumstances is. I just think he just, for some reason, he don't like them fights. Like he don't like the Benavidez fight. He don't like the Andre fight. He don't like the Charlo fight. Like, he would be a favorite in all 3 fights. Like, he'd be a favorite in all 3 fights. But it's just something about those guys. He don't like the matchup. And he's just, I don't care what the circumstances is. Canelo, I would bet money he will go the rest of his career and he won't fight neither one of the three. He won't fight neither one of the three. Like if he was ever put in a position where they said you got to fight him or drop the belt, he'll just drop the belt. You know what I'm saying? He don't like the matchups. He don't like the matchups. Like, you know what I'm saying? John Hugh Tank rips Taylor head off if they fight. The way Taylor looks Saturday, I can't help but to agree. I can't help but to agree with that. If Taylor showed the way he did against Catterall. Edwin Loma lost, and since 2015, he's been almost ready for Loma. Loma is one of them dudes. Like I feel like Loma could go up to 140 and probably beat Josh Taylor the way Josh Taylor looked. You know what I'm saying? So actually, with Josh Taylor looking so bad, he looked like food now. So he should actually get big money opportunities, like big fights from guys that may not have gave him a look 6 months ago. Burt Wood in the building. Big shout out to Burt Wood. He said no Spence versus Bud or Haney versus Tank or Lopez versus Cambosis or Loma Lopez, but yes, Inui versus Donaire trilogy. Yeah, we getting Burt. We getting some good fights in some spots, and we getting some spots where we need we would like some other fights to come together like the ones you mentioned. So we hoping we can get them. But we boxing in a good spot though. We got a nice schedule coming up. Blue Corner Boxing 28. Damn, Tank 28. Okay. Yeah, so he definitely in his prime. Blue Corner Boxing, Charlo and Benavidez. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I just think, of course, you want to fight Canelo because that's the cash cow. That's the biggest, that's the biggest draw in boxing. But these guys, if Canelo don't want to fight you, you got to create your own legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to create your own legacy. You got to become, your own cash cow. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy to do, because usually how boxing works is whoever the cash cow is or whoever the big money person is, they usually pass the torch in the ring. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these guys are not really passing the torch. You know what I'm saying? Like Pacquiao technically didn't pass the torch. Like Ugas ain't got the juice. Like, you know what I'm saying? He ain't got the juice. Floyd Mayweather never passed the torch. So it's just guys just had to create their own legacy. So if that's the best fight on the table for the biggest money, then yeah, go ahead and go do that. Edwin Catterall should be calling out Tank. Guarantee Floyd won't let it happen. Tank is a beast, skilled and probably the best at 135, maybe 140, but he's losing prime years being with Floyd. The thing is, Floyd is trying to move Tank the same way he moved himself, facing 9 black fighters on pay-per-view and build that, that persona that he's unbeatable or he's the biggest in the sport. You can't be the biggest in the sport selling 50K. You can't. That Tank is one of the biggest names in the sport. Don't get me wrong, but he's running out of opponents. The only opponent he have on his side of the street is Rolly, and the only reason is Rolly because he talks shit. He's talked his way into that fight. It's not because he's like some great fighter or something, or he's heavy competition for Tank. So Floyd going to have to make a decision with Tank at some point. You can't say he's a pay-per-view star and you putting him up against lower level names and lower level guys just because they're on your side of the street. Floyd, I think he's kind of like misleading the public with that because Floyd's biggest fights were against guys that weren't under the same promotional banner. That's a fact. It's a fact at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact at the end of the day. He fought Oscar De La Hoya across the street. Fought Pacquiao across the street. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. He wanted to make a decision. He wanted to take the leash off Tank at some point. But he's going to do it soon. Blue Corner Boxing. Canelo stated they don't have anything to offer Canelo. He's making history while these dudes are just sitting around waiting for that Canelo payday. They wasting their talent. Blue Corner, the thing about Canelo, like when you the cash cow, you get whatever you want in terms of fights. Like you get whatever fights you want. So like if he wants Charlo, he'll get Charlo. If he wanted Benavidez, he'll get Benavidez. If he wanted Andre, he would get Andre, if he really wanted to fight him. At the end of the day, Charlo has to look for the best competition, the best money out there. Benavidez has to do the same thing, and so does Andre. If they're operating a career simply to get a Canelo shot, Charlo had a better chance of getting Canelo in the past. Andre had a better chance of getting Canelo in the past. Benavidez had a better chance getting Canelo in the past. Like I said, bottom line is I don't think Canelo's gonna fight any of those dudes. I just think he don't like the matchup. John Hugh, Joe Joyce is the sleeper danger man in the heavyweight division. I see him as number 2. That's a pretty high ranking for Joe Joyce. I don't have him number 2, but I love Joe Joyce's game though. For somebody that's that slow, he got a nice punch variety, nice power. Um, and that punch variety, it makes up, and his timing actually makes up for the lack of speed, man. I'm a big fan of Joe Joyce. I just don't have him ranked number 2 though. Burt Wood. Every fighter has a bad night overlooking other fighters. Remember Ali versus Leon Spinks, but Ali rematch won. Yeah, I think every fighter has a kryptonite and every fighter has a bad night in the office. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than, you work a 9 to 5, you might have a day where you just not doing nothing right. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a bad day at the office. If you play basketball, football, or boxing yourself, or you a boxer and you in the gym sparring, you might have a bad day at the office. It happens. It happens. Even Floyd. Floyd is, Mr. Perfect, 50-0. It's arguably 3 fights that he lost. You know what I'm saying? It's 3 fights that people had him losing. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it happens. The greatest to ever do it, they've lost. They've had bad nights at the office. It is what it is. It doesn't define a fighter. It's your comeback that's going to define a fighter. You know what I mean? So you got guys like Josh Taylor, he's a unified champion, but his stock doesn't say unified champion. He going to come back. He going to bounce back and actually, get his mojo back. Chris Colbert, he's another guy. You know what I'm saying? He took the worst type of loss you could possibly take. You know what I'm saying? Last minute replacement. And it looked like he mentally checked out in that fight too. So he's gonna have to, respond. Guys have bad nights at the office. My thing in boxing is, can you have a bad night at the office and still win? By hook or by crook. And Josh Taylor, he still won. So we're gonna see how he bounced back. Edwin, Canelo is just keeping it 100. They keep saying who needs to, but Canelo tells us at the start of the year what his goals is. The rest just sit on their hands, not fighting to make their own mark in the sport. I do think every fighter needs to make their own mark in the sport. I also think that Charlo, Andre, and Benavidez shouldn't be knocked for wanting to fight the best pound for pound guy in a lot of people's eyes in the sport. I think wanting that matchup, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, what can they negotiate against other fighters on the build up to that? Now, Edwin, I'm not gonna lie. Some guys will be strategic and be like, yo, why risk your opportunity at Canelo trying to prove yourself against a top 10 guy or whatever the case may be? Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it at the end of the day. But yeah, like, they need to fight some good competition. They need to fight some good competition, whether they think or they don't think it's going to lead to Canelo at the end of the day. Edwin, Jamel ranted about Maul turning down Canelo. Then in a live, Maul was bugging to where Mel said, that's why you duck Canelo. Yeah, I mean, I seen that, but all that was for the cameras, bro. At the end of the day, if Uncle Al say no, then it's no. There's benefits of being with Al, and then there's discrepancies with being with Al. Like, you're not a boss with Al. Al run the show. Al say yes, Al say no. Even if it's a fighter you don't want to fight, if Al say you got to fight him or you getting put on the shelf, that's you gonna fight him. So that was just for the cameras. Like, Al Heyman ain't like the deal. He said no. That's just, so I don't think it was Jamal actually turning down the deal or was ducking Canelo. Like, I just think at the end of the day, Al Heyman didn't like the matchup or something in the contract or the money or something. Like Al Heyman made that final decision, not Jamal Charlo. John Hugh, do you think Taylor's decision will make Americans think twice about fighting in the UK, especially after the Ryder Jacobs result and especially on the Eddie Hearn show? No, it's bad judges everywhere. It's bad judges in the United States, on the East Coast, on the West Coast, down South, Midwest, Northeast, you name it. It's bad judges in the UK. It's bad judges all over this globe. The question is it bad judging because of politics, or is it bad judging because they don't know what they're looking at when it comes down to boxing? It's bad judging everywhere. Bad judges and bad decisions everywhere. So it really don't matter where you fight at this point. Edwin Castillo, bro, he's been saying he wants Charlo. We don't know what the contract fine print to have him pick the zone. If PBC is sinking the Al trying to give him a paper saying I owe you, then he made the right choice. Somebody of Al's stature, I don't think PBC is sinking. Like, let me get that out the way. The problem with PBC setup is that PBC has high guarantees for a lot of their fighters. And it's really coming back to bite them because a lot of these fighters that have high guarantees, they don't bring back high returns. So except for paying them the high guarantees and taking a loss, on a bottom line, they put it on pay-per-view and they basically tell the viewing public to help them pay the bill. That's pretty much what it is. So they got to change their setup, change some of these guarantees for some of these guys, man. Like somebody like a Landy Lara shouldn't be making those 7 figures when he's not bringing in nowhere near that to compensate that $1 million payday. You understand what I'm saying? Or Gary Russell. And that's not knocking them. Get your bread. You know what I'm saying? That's what you are, what you negotiate. You know what I'm saying? But Gary Russell shouldn't technically, like in reality, like shouldn't be making those 7 figures per fight because he doesn't bring anything to the table to command that. You know what I'm saying? He don't sell a certain amount of tickets. He don't fight enough. He's not a fan favorite. Like, it's a lot of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of Al Heyman guys make a lot of money, a lot of guaranteed money, man. So they got to look into that. Edwin, remember this? Canelo wanted Floyd's spot. Floyd avoided Williams, Lara, and Trout. Canelo fought those guys to prove he wanted to be the best, exception Williams for his unfortunate accident. So here's the thing with Floyd. Floyd is very strategic in terms of the opponent he picks, when he picks them, when he fights them. There's no secret about that. Like, Floyd will tell you he's the smartest man in the sport. Me personally, every big fighter has that one guy that they didn't fight in their career that everyone wished that they fought. For Floyd, it would have been Paul Williams. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wanted him to fight Paul Williams. Second, I would say probably Antonio Margarito before the hand wrap situation. And the third person I think people wanted Floyd to fight was Tim Bradley. But the whole politics thing and all that at that particular time. So I would say the run that Canelo's going on now, I don't think Floyd would have went on that same run after he became Money Mayweather. It was just too many risks. You know what I'm saying? Like, Floyd takes calculated risk and he makes sure that he goes into every fight big favorite. You know what I'm saying? But Floyd, don't get it twisted. Floyd resume is legit. Pre Money Mayweather, he fought everybody. And even the guys that people say Floyd didn't fight, in my eyes, Floyd would have beat him. Like, he would have beat Paul Williams. Like, he would have beat Antonio Margarito. He would have beat Tim Bradley. Like, he would have beat all them guys. Like, there's not anybody in his era that I think Floyd wouldn't have beat. You know what I'm saying? So they really just talking points as far as I'm concerned. Canelo didn't sit around and waited. He fought. Well, Edwin, the thing is, Canelo doesn't have to sit around and wait because he's the cash cow. He could do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? So I don't bunch him in the same category as everybody else. Canelo has a complete green light to do whatever he wants. If he wants to fight 5 times in a year, he could do that. If he wants to handpick his opponents for the next 2 years, he can do that. When you're the cash cow, you could do that. So those other guys don't have those same opportunities. That's why I said they need to fight the biggest and the best fights possible and create their own legacy, because Canelo's not going to fight him. Edwin, they were set to fight in 2012, though before Williams' career-ending accident. I believed it. I would have believed that when I seen the contract signed. I firmly believe Floyd was not going to fight him. Period. Burt Wood. What do you see on the 122 class for 2022? I see Cool Boy Steph. Cool Boy Steph should be um, unifying. Raif Salim should be up for a big fight this year. Um, Danny Roman should be up for a big fight. Um, Let me see. Brandon Figueroa should be back in the ring. 122 is one of my favorite divisions, man. I love 122, man. But 122 should have some bangers this year for sure. Edwin, what has Charlo done? Beneducas for him to fight them now. He's only 31. He could fight them next year. Beneduca is fighting Lemieux, a career middleweight. So I actually like the Lemieux matchup. I like the Lemieux matchup. I mean, it's a fight he should obviously win, but I like the Lemieux matchup. Lemieux power can't be denied. It don't matter if he's fighting middleweight, super middleweight. He don't punch light. And Benavidez does get hit because he's so offensive minded. You know what I'm saying? But Charlo, yeah, I think Charlo beating, Derevianchenko, J Rock, a couple other guys, like, his Charlo resume is okay. You know what I'm saying? It could be better. But like I said, they should be working on creating their own legacy. And if Canelo want to pay him a visit, it's going to be Canelo's decision whether he gives them a fight or not. There's nothing they can do to force Canelo to fight him. And I think that's the point I want to make. Bruce Goals in the building, man. Big shout out to my bro, Bruce Goals, man. Absolutely love your channel, man. The fact that anybody that's not subscribed to Bruce Goals, definitely go subscribe to Bruce Goals. One of the best young channels out there. And one of the main things that Bruce Goals is doing that I absolutely love is he's actually showing fights that used to come on Tuesday night fights. And Tuesday night fights on USA, I got my boxing education off of Tuesday night fights on USA, man. So big shout out to Bruce Goals, man. One of the best boxing minds in the sport, man. Big shout out to Bruce Goals. Edwin Castillo, bro, with respect, I say, why do you give them excuses saying if Al didn't like the deal, so it's okay? Then say Canelo can pick who he wants, but doesn't want these fights like it's all his fault. So I know you've been listening for a while. You probably haven't been listening long enough to when I was breaking down Al Heyman's contract. So basically, anybody that signed under Al is basically an advisory deal. No fighter under Al Heyman can say yes to a deal unless Al Heyman says yes, and that's in the contracts. In the contracts, if Canelo offered Charlo $25 million to fight, Jamal Charlo can say yes, and then Al Heyman can veto it and say no, you're not taking that fight per the contract. So I'm not saying that because I'm trying to lessen responsibilities for Charlo and raise responsibilities for Canelo. I made that statement strictly because of the type of contract that Al Heyman has his guys signed. They have no say so. They have no final say. Canelo has final say. Al Heyman fighters don't. And that's what I meant by that from a contract standpoint. Edwin Castillo, the deal, why does he have to sign? Obviously Canelo don't have to do anything. Like, he chose the DAZN deal. If he want to go back and revisit the PBC deal next year, he can do that. But again, he's a cash cow. He can do that. He has the ability to do that. You know what I'm saying? He has the power to do that and the freedom to do that. He don't have to take anything. He don't have to do anything. Canelo can do what he wants. He can do what he wants, man. But that's credit to him. He's earned that. He's earned that right. Burt Wood, can anybody beat Stephen Fulton in 122? Yeah. His unification fight he could lose. A lot of people had Brandon Figueroa winning the fight against him. It was a close fight, tight fight. I think Raif Salim got a good shot against Stephen Fulton, but I feel like Stephen Fulton's the best 122 pounder right now. But there's a lot of competition out there for Stephen Fulton. Danny Romano give him a run. But Stephen Fulton is the most stacked, like from 1 to maybe 7 or 8. It's stacked at 122, man. It's stacked. Absolutely stacked. But big shout out to Stephen Fulton, man. Philly fighter, man. I'm from Philly. You already know. Philly, support Philly all day. Chris G in the building, my boxing son. Benavidez didn't duck anyone. Charlo was the one crying after Benavidez called his bluff. Chris, I figured you was gonna be in here, man. I got Benavidez fan and Chris G, and I got a Canelo fan and Edwin Castillo in the building, so this one should be good. Bruce Goes, appreciate you, brother, man. You like I said, man, you're doing some amazing things on your channel, man, and continue the great work. And go look at Bruce Gould's past work as well, man. He's had, Tim Witherspoon, some other guys on there, man. Like I said, he's showing classic, old school fights. Great old school channel. If you are old school boxing fan, like tune in to guys like us and Bruce Gould's guys like that, man. Like it's almost nostalgic, you know what I'm saying, watching Bruce Gould's channel. Big shout out to my guy Bruce Gould. Edwin Castillo, Canelo wasn't the cash cow then when he fought Laura Trout, and then complain about people not having the same standards with everyone. That's why I don't understand. Then I get called a fanboy. So at that time when Canelo fought Laura, when Canelo fought Trout, Canelo was one of the top 3 money makers in the sport. Like, that's a fact. Outside of heavyweight, to make that clear. Outside of heavyweight, Canelo was a top 3 moneymaker in the sport when he fought Laura, when he fought Trout. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the cash cow, but he was one of the big money makers in the sport, because he'd been getting banked since he was on Floyd undercards. You know what I mean? So Canelo been getting it for a while. But Canelo's held to a different standard because he's the cash cow. Like, he's held to a different standard because he has more options than everybody else. But listen, holding Canelo to a higher standard shouldn't be a problem. He's going in there, he's fighting top guys. And like I said, a lot of people say he'd be on the European tour and all that. And I say all the time, Canelo, you have to be good enough to go on the European tour. Like, there's a lot of guys that can't beat Callum Smith. There's a lot of guys that can't beat Billy Joe Saunders. There's a lot of guys that can't beat Caleb Plant. There's a lot of guys. So obviously Canelo's one of the best in the sport, like, no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? But he's held to a different standard because throughout boxing history, we've always held the cash cow or a top 5 pound for pound guy under different standards. We've always done that. Edwin is defense of who I find is representing the sport in a very good way. Listen, Canelo is, he is fighting. He has fought, he fought Triple G twice. He fought, he fought Billy Joe. He fought Caleb Plant. He fought Callum Smith. He fought Laura. He fought Floyd. He fought Trout. Even other guys, he fought, Amir Khan, he fought Angulo, he fought, James Kirkland, and he's getting ready to fight Bivol. He'll probably fight Triple G after that. He may go sign a PBC deal after that. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So he's making his mark. He's making his mark. Like I said, there's only about 4 guys that people want Canelo to fight. It's only like 4 in the sport. And there's really nobody else to really mention. Chris G, Edwin, I love Canelo and not even half as much as you do. And I'm called a fanboy of his. Listen, Canelo is going to have to fight the best guys in the sport. That's just what it is. That's what he signed up for. And I think he is, he's one of the most talented guys in the sport, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of the most talented guys in the sport. I love Canelo inside the ring. I love Canelo inside the ring, man. Like, he's the only person in the sport where they have no regard for who he fights. They be like, Canelo, go fight somebody at 160. Now go up to 168, go fight somebody. Now go up to 175, go fight somebody. They wanted him to fight Makabu with fucking cruiserweight. Like I said, it's crazy. Like, They have no regard for who Canelo fights in terms of the weight class. Chris G said, I thought Figueroa beat Fulton. Yeah, see, Chris G thought Figueroa beat Fulton. There's a lot of people that felt like Figueroa beat Fulton. You know what I'm saying? I had a 7-5 Fulton. I had a 7-5 Fulton. It was a tight fight, though. Julio Cesar Martinez versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, who wins G5. I got Chocolatito, man. I got Chocolatito. Edwin, Chris G, yes, he has. Morrell recently made offers to fight, and Benaduka has turned it down. And then they said in 5 more fights, then maybe. That's a duck. Benavidez, David Morrell, that'd be a great fight. That'd be a great fight. I don't know how much credit Benavidez will get for that fight, but that's a great fight, though. He don't have that much. I mean, he ain't got really much else to do with 68 unless he go up to 175. If Benavidez go up to 175, he can get all the smoke that he want. 168 is kind of limited right now. Like, they're not going to put him up against Caleb Plant. It's just not many guys. It's not many guys at 168. You know what I'm saying? At Chris G, he also declined a Plant fight a year before Canelo started his conquest. Chris G, PBC controls both those guys, so the fights won't happen until Al Hammond says they can happen. And he didn't decline a Plant fight again in PBC unless Al get a green light, not happen. That's exactly what I said with Chris G. That's my boxing son. I've schooled him very well. Very well. Chris G, they can offer all they want. Al Heyman has the last word. Facts. 100% facts. Anybody and Edwin Castillo, that's a lesson to you today. That's education for you today. So where you say God, you can't really say any PBC guy is ducking. You have to say whether did Al like the deal or not. It's just because the way the contract is set up, man, for sure. Edwin Castillo, yeah, he was, but because he kept fighting, making his own legacy, and that's what he said these guys need to. I think so, but not to call him a duck because their fighter hasn't got the lottery fight. That's the thing is like that's why I said like for me, Edwin, there's nothing Andre can do to force Canelo to fight him. There's nothing Charlo can do to force Canelo to fight him. There's nothing Benavidez can do to force Canelo to fight him. Like at the end of the day, they just need to make the best fights possible for themselves and the biggest money. And if Canelo decides to come around and pay him a visit, he pay him a visit. If not, they've created their own legacy. They've created their own bag, you know. But they want to fight Canelo. There's nothing wrong with that, but they can't just completely stall their career neither. Because to be honest with you, like Amir Khan made a lot of bad decisions trying to follow after Kell Brook made a lot of bad decisions trying to follow what Amir Khan was doing. Amir Khan made a lot of bad decisions because he was trying to follow and chase a Floyd fight. You understand what I'm saying? So guys got to do what's best for them, and make their own moves and create their own legacy. Chris G, David Morrell, Doug Lonnie, B. Thompson. They offered him $50K and he took the fight and Morrell backed out. Yeah. I can't really get too deep into that, but yeah. John Hugh Beterbiev is Canelo's most dangerous fight. I think that's the one guy that beats Canelo. That's the one guy I'm like, yo, Canelo does not. That's the one guy I think Canelo gets in the ring, and I'm like, yo, he's losing that fight. If he fights Beterbiev, he's losing that fight. He's losing that fight. Like, I'll put my check on it. He's losing that fight for sure. Edwin Castillo, Chris G, then that makes Benaduquez look worse. You gonna stop calling him Benaduquez while Chris G in the room, man. He start yelling at you. Edwin Castillo, John Hugh, yes, and I love to see that fight, but haters will discredit him fighting that dangerous guy. That's the thing. Like, if he fights like a David Morrell, like, yeah, he should get max credit for that. But there's gonna be a lot of people that say, oh, David Morrell only got a couple fights, it's in the third. But the hardcores know David Morrell is a monster. He's a beast. David Morrell could possibly beat Caleb Plant right now. I'm standing on that. He could possibly beat Caleb Plant right now. John Hugh Benavidez will fight 175, tough. He needs to stay at 168. It's actually more action for him at 175 though. Like imagine like Benavidez versus Joe Smith. Like, that's a great fight, yo. That's a great fight. Like a Benavidez versus Anthony Yard. That'd be a great fight. I mean, there's a lot of action for him at 175. So we're gonna see what happens. Edwin, all right, fam, gotta go see y'all later. Shout out to the big homie vlog. Yeah, man, Edwin Castillo, man, appreciate you stopping through, man. You stayed in for a lot longer than 10 minutes, man, but I'm glad you did. I'm gonna tell the big homie you said what's up. John Hugh Benedicta is already ran away from 175 on the WBC, put him in their rankings. They did put Benavidez in the rankings. I don't know why. Because he never did nothing with it. But I don't know. Evan Castillo, Jeff, if he loses, it's all right, bro, because he took the risk. Yeah, you may think like that. I may think like that, but them dudes don't be thinking like that, and they handlers don't be thinking like that. You know what I'm saying? The handlers be like, "Oh, nah, we not gonna run the risk. We trying to get the Canelo fight." Like people don't realize, like you fight Canelo, you financially set. You set. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of easy for us to be like, oh, yeah, go in there with the killers. These dudes trying to be strategic, man, trying to get that payday. That's Canelo say. They want payday. They want payday. You know what I'm saying? Um, Chris G, bro, why do you hate Benavidez so much? Chris G, Edwin said Chris G, he's been talking mad stuff with his dad. I respected him when he kept it cool and said he knew he needed to earn it, but he's talking smack. Chris G, Benavidez has a better chance of beating Beterbiev than Canelo, in my opinion. I actually agree with that. I think that's a bad matchup for Canelo. Beterbiev is a horrible matchup for Canelo. John Hugh, where do you rank Yard in the light heavyweights? That's a good question. Uh, he's in the top 10, but on the back half of the top 10. Uh, came back and redeemed himself against Lyndon Arthur. And he had his opportunity to close out Kovalev. It didn't work out for him. I would say back half of the top 10, man. I like Yard. Edward Castillo, I appreciate you, good brother, man. We'll be on tomorrow, man. Catch up with us. Chris G, no, he hasn't. I follow Benavidez religiously. What are you saying? It's complete madness. I haven't seen Benavidez talk. I've seen him talk more smack about Charlo than Canelo, but at the end of the day, like it's something that we all want to see. Like we want to see Canelo fight everybody. To be honest with you, we want to see him fight everybody. Toshi in the building. Big shout out to Toshi. They want payday. If he sell that on a shirt, that joint gonna sell like hotcakes, They want payday. Burt Wood, what do you see for Gary Antoine Russell? I am so glad you asked me that question, Burt Wood. Burt Wood, you be on point too, bro. Trivia questions, all that. Big shout out to Burt Wood. What do you see for Gary Antoine Russell? It's weird, man, because I feel like he's been overshadowed by Gary Russell Jr. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about Gary Antoine Russell. Let me make this very clear. I was highly impressed with what he did against Victor Postal. I honestly was going into that fight debating whether I wanted to put some money on Victor Postal because I got a high level of respect for Victor Postal. Gary Antoine Russell was 15-0, 15 knockouts. Now, was the stoppage bullshit? Absolutely. It was bullshit. But that shouldn't take away from the fact that Gary Antoine Russell was going to win that fight anyway. He was going to win that fight anyway. And people know Gary Antoine Russell because he beat everybody's favorite fighter in Boots Ennis in the in the amateurs, I think twice. I think he beat him a couple times actually. But he's 15-0, 15 knockouts. It almost seemed like they stopped that fight with Postal to keep his knockout streak alive, but Antoine Russell is not even known for his power like that. Like it's not like a knockout streak like Edgar Berlanga had going on. It's nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think Gary Antoine Russell has a real opportunity to really develop at 140. I think they need to take their time with him though. That was a dangerous fight, that Victor Postal fight. But I think Gary Russell need about 3 fights. Maybe like 3 more fights where it really, against quality guys, really, refine some things technically. There's some technical things with him that I don't like. But I like Gary Antoine Russell. If he play his cards right, they match him up right. I could see him in a title shot for a vacant belt. I could see him as a world champion. I could see him as a world champion, for sure. I like Gary Antoine Russell. Edwin Castillo, Chris G. Oh my God, I gotta go. But he stated, "I want to earn my shot at Canelo," and now says Canelo doesn't want the smoke. But Jeff said it's not up to them if he doesn't allow it. No, that's true. Al gotta give it the green light, bro. It's crazy, but Al gotta give it the green light. Chris, I stand by Benavidez, beats Bivol 100%. Already kicked his ass completely in sparring, and also said he said Canelo's gonna easily beat Bivol. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. I think it's a fascinating matchup. Chris G, he beat Jerron Ennis 3-1 in the amateurs. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, Boots Ennis has improved so much since then, and like physically he's filled out. But yeah, like Gary Antoine Russell, he fought a lot of guys fight each other in the amateurs. You know what I'm saying? You in the pros is a whole different ball game, man. Like, a lot of stuff Gary Antoine Russell was doing. And I seen one of them amateur fights too. I mean, they fought like amateurs, like, you know what I mean? It was what it was. Like, they both got a pro style now. They two completely different fighters, but Gary Antoine Russell was good, man. He good money. You know what I'm saying? He good money with me, all day long, man. But we got, we have the Jose Ramirez and Jose Pedraza fight. It's a great fight. You know what I mean? For tomorrow. I like the undercard. Top Rank doing their thing. Top Rank definitely doing their thing. And I know we had a discussion at the beginning of the year whether they could put on big fights. I know I had that conversation with VP Shane, and I thought Top Rank was gonna be okay. And Shane had his doubts, but Top Rank, they stepping up, man. Like, they doing their thing, like, for sure. But the weigh-in happened earlier today with Jose Pedraza and Jose Ramirez. I'll probably drop a clip of that on social media. I'll probably do a breakdown of prediction as well. Definitely go to the website, man, g5jeftv.com, man. Join the Prediction Fantasy League. I know it's late in the league right now for anybody that's coming in that's new. But you want to just join just to get used to making predictions on g5jeftv.com. For the people that's been in the league for a while. It's $550 for the winner of the league and a championship belt. And that's for the season 2 winner. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Will might be number 1 right now. It's tight at the top. It's tight at the top, man. I think we got another like 2 weeks before the end of the season. So these fights are important for the guys that's been in the league for a while. Big shout out to everybody that was in the fantasy league, man. Season 3 is going to be epic, yo. It's going to be epic, man. Like, I can't even get into details, but it's going to be epic. But for the Ramirez and Pedraza fight, the undercard is pretty cool too, man. Gabe Flores is on the card. Joet Gonzalez is on the card. Carlos Balderas is on the card as well. So it got some guys on there, so it should be a solid card across the board. And I think the main event is going to be all action, man. I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. Burtwood G5, who wins, Anui or Donaire? I'm gonna say Anui, but Donaire is on a serious hot streak. Only reason I'm gonna say Anui is because of the age difference, and I just think Donaire is on a hot streak. But how long can that hot streak last at the age that he's at? You know what I mean? Like, and everybody can't do a Bernard Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys can't do a Bernard Hopkins at the end of the day. Age gonna catch up with you in the boxing ring because it's about reflexes and timing and things like that. Once that goes, it's hard for you to, do your thing in the sport of boxing. But I definitely had Donaire Fighter of the Year last year, and it's a legit fight for Anui. But I think Anui pulls it off. Man. But I've been cooking for an hour and 4 minutes dolo. Big shout out to me. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to me for holding it down for over an hour dolo. No video, no clips, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just in here cooking, man. But big shout out to everybody that was up in here. Burt Wood, Donaire wife is in his corner. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, Donaire is one of the bigger success stories. Like, if you a fighter Watch Donaire. Donaire took a loss in his career. People was throwing him by the wayside, and he just put his head down and just started working. You know what I'm saying? He just put his head down and started working. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of boxers that is taking losses, you know, you need to pay attention to that. Like, you take a loss, it's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the road. Chris Colbert, you know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the road for you, bro. My guy, my young king, Brian Kennedy Jr., man, like he just took a loss, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you gotta get back on your feet. Just get back in the gym and just keep working. You know what I mean? Get back in the gym, keep working. My guy Antonio Todd from out of Atlanta, you know, he coming off a huge victory over Hugo Centennial Jr. He you know, he took a loss in Philly to Kyron Davis, completely turned his career around. Big shout out to Antonio Todd. My guy Tristan Tree James, man, out of Iowa. Big shout out to Tristan Tree James. Um, you know, he lost to Mushin K-Sign in Philly. I didn't like the stoppage, but he lost to him in Philly. Came back, couple of victories in a row. Fighting in his own hometown, got a promotional deal now, man. So big shout out to Tree James, big shout out to Coach Pepe Pena. Coach Pepe Pena and Tree James, that interview is going to be dropping tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be 8 o'clock Iowa time. I'm going to be dropping clips on social media of the interview before and after I drop the full version of it. And you know, I'm looking forward to that. Also, I'm gonna be having a special, maybe once a month show with Coach Pepe Pena, just in regards to like amateur boxing, and things like that. Big shout out to my guy Coach Padman McGriff, out there in Vegas, man. I know he had a you know, a friend of his passed away a couple days ago, man. Condolences to you. Um, you know what I'm saying? Condolences to the family. Family and loved ones as well, man. Coach, I'll catch up with you off camera. Um, Big shout out to my man Rob Acosta, man, out of the Boozy Ennis gym, man. Strength and conditioning coach for Jerron Boots Ennis, man. Big shout out to Rob Acosta. Rob Acosta doing big things, man. Got new clients that he working with, man. Hopefully we can get Rob Acosta and, you know, some of his new fighters on camera and you know, interview them and, you know, really get down to the nitty gritty when it come down to strength and conditioning and plans that, you know, his fighters have going forward. Big shout out to him. Big shout out. Let me do a roll call real quick, man. Big shout out to Burt Wood, my boxing son, Chris G, Edwin Castillo, Toshi came through. John Hugh came through. Let me see. Bruce Goals is in the building, man. Big shout out to Bruce Goals, for sure. Blue Corner Boxing, big shout out to you, bro. Jay Banks was in the building. Big shout out to Jay Banks. And that's it for the chat. But y'all really held it down for a player in the chat. When I was Dolo. Shane had the day off. Vlog had the day off, man. Big shout out to my guys. Boxing First Vlog, aka the General, aka Blunt Bayless, aka Mr. 1K, and VP Shane, aka Shane Bivell, aka Shane I Be a Bucci. You know what I'm saying? AKA Ice Cold Shane. Wouldn't be a Goodfellas podcast without them too. Chris G. Let's see. Hey Jeff, who are your favorite 3 fighters to watch right now? Current fighters. My favorite 3 fighters to watch is Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford, Cool Boy Steph, and Usyk. Those are 3 fighters I love to watch. Bud, because he just never disappoints me. Like, he never disappoints me, bro. Like, he give it to me every single time inside the ring, man. Cool Boy Steph, man. I think he's one of the best fighters in the sport, man. And I just love how he operates. He does everything really, really good. Like, he's a B plus to an A in almost everything inside the ring, man. That's usually how Philly fighters are built. And Usyk has one of the best runs just between cruiserweight and heavyweight in boxing history. Like, just completely cleaned out cruiserweight, went to other guys' hometowns getting belts, and then turn around and be unified champion at heavyweight, multi-belt champion at heavyweight, in 3 fights, man. Like, it's Usyk's that deal, and he's a masterpiece to watch inside the ring. So I would say those are my top 3 guys. Benavidez is probably number 4 just because of the sheer entertainment, and then I would say probably Canelo. Right, those are my top 5 guys to watch right now. Active box, yeah. Said Benavidez, Jerron Ennis, Inouye. Yeah, I can't argue with Ennis. I can't argue with Inouye either. Inouye's probably in my top 10 for sure. Boots is in my top 10. Inouye's definitely in my top 10. Donaire's in my top 10. I love watching Joe Smith. He's in my top 10. I'm trying to think who else I like watching. I don't know. I gotta think. But those guys for sure. But we're gonna close this thing out, man. I got work to do, man. I gotta drop this Tree James interview, Coach Pepe Pena interview for They Killed Me, man. I was supposed to drop that thing Monday. But I had to work doubles and all that at work and all that. So I gotta drop that tonight. Gotta drop some other clips. I got some more interviews coming too, man. I'm gonna start getting into the interview realm. That's kind of my space. I don't like being in people's DMs asking them for stuff. That's why I don't really be pursuing interviews like that. I ain't built like that. Be all up in people's DMs and all that. But if there's anybody y'all want me to try to interview, or if anybody y'all got to hook up with and get the interview, like, let me know. You email me and hit my line or hit me on social media. So you can find me all over the place, man. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, G5JeffTV. And you go to the website, g5jefftv.com. Join the Boxing Prediction Fantasy League. We got articles up. Articles are on Google News. Big shout out to Boxing First Vlog for holding it down as far as the articles are concerned. And big shout out to VP Shane. You can follow VP Shane at I_am Shane and #1 on Instagram, only on Instagram. Vlog, you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Boxing First Vlog. Big shout out to the big bro. And like I said, I'm all over the place, man. So we're going to be on tomorrow, episode 68 of the Goodfellas podcast. And we'll probably give final thoughts on the fights this weekend and basically go from there. So on behalf of VP Shane, on behalf of Boxing First Vlog, and your boy G5 Jeff TV, a.k.a. G5, a.k.a. 5, a.k.a. The Guru, see y'all tomorrow.